Hello, my name is Dana and I am the instructor for Soul Stretch, a class that we have Wednesday nights, the third Wednesday of every month at the Holistic Center. As of course, you know, we are on a time out, and so I am blessed enough to bring you a class online. So hopefully during this period, this can bring you a little bit of rest and relaxation and recharge from the comfort of your own home. So let's get started. So first, we're going to find a comfortable seat so you can stay on your knees. Sometimes I like that. Or you can sit with your legs crossed. And if you find that you are rounding in your spine, or it's just a little uncomfortable and you can't sit up nice and tall, I like to elevate my hips by bringing in a block, or you can use a pillow, bolster, whatever you have at home. So we're going to find a comfortable seat, something that allows you to sit up nice and tall while still feeling comfortable. So as you find your seat, begin to relax into it a little more. Begin to find a nice rhythm to your breath. And as you start to find that rhythm, slowly begin to get the inhalation to reach down deeper into your belly. A lot of us live up here in our chest with our breath, which can keep us in a constant state of anxiousness. But if you can sink that breath down a little further into your belly, it can send signals to the whole body that it's okay to relax. So with each breath, try to reach your belly and get it to rise. It may take a little practice, but as you get more comfortable with your mind-body connection, you'll be able to feel it even more and actually carry it with you throughout your day. Now that you've found your rhythm, or you've become more aware of a rhythm, begin to slowly make circles with your nose in the air. Taking it around and around, releasing tension in your neck, following your breath. Slowly begin to go in the opposite direction. come back to center and find a moment of stillness. Finding that nice rhythm in your breath if you lost it. Still sitting up nice and tall. We're going to find movement with our arms by sweeping them up to the sky, gathering them at the palms, and then bringing them to the heart space. Doing that once again, reaching up to the sky, bringing them back to the heart space. Inhale, reaching up to the sky. Exhale, bringing them back to the heart space. A couple more breaths here, following your own rhythm. And from here, we're going to find our seated cat-cow. And so how that looks is sitting up nice and tall. We're going to open our arms nice and wide. Opening up our chest in our seated position. This is considered our cow, where we're really arching the back or putting a low dip into the back. And inhaling, creating space. Then we're going to reach forward, really rounding the back, bringing the arms together, and exhaling into cat. Opening once again, it's helpful to clasp behind the back. To open up that chest a little bit more into cow. And rounding the back once again into cat. Continue this movement with your own breath, finding your own flow. You can even put your hands on both knees if that helps you to brace yourself a little bit more. In yoga, it's important to find what feels good for your body. Every body is different. As long as you're breathing and you're making mindful, intentional movements, you are doing what you're supposed to be doing in yoga. One more breath here. And coming back to center. Okay. Now we'll be moving into a nice twist. So from here, still sitting up nice and tall, you're going to bring your right arm back behind you, almost tinting the fingers behind you, bringing your left arm on that right knee and twisting from the torso. Never forcing anything. If you feel any pinches or sharp shooting pains, it's time to back off a little bit. Continue to breathe. 2 more breaths here. And coming back to center. Now we're going to move to the opposite side. Inhale, sweep your arm up, bring it back behind you, tenting the fingers, bracing them on the floor, bringing that right arm to the left knee, and twist. Exhaling into the space created by your inhalation. Couple more breaths here. And moving back to center. So now from here, we're going to move out of our seated position into tabletop. So move whatever prop you were using, if you were using one. And begin to find your tabletop position. So how that looks is on your hands and knees, but hands are going to be stacked under the shoulders and shoulder width apart. Knees are going to be hip width apart, stacked under the hips. And from here, we're going to find a cat-cow flow, but also warming up the hips and the core and the arms. So from here, we're going to move back, rounding the spine into cat. So exhaling. Rounding the back again and dipping into cow, inhaling. Coming back, finding your cat, back onto your heels. And inhaling into cow. Begin to find your own rhythm, your own flow. Couple more breaths here. Really using your core and your upper body to move you. And then moving back into tabletop. So following that same kind of flow, we're going to add a downward dog flow. So how that'll look is in your tabletop position, you're going to tuck your toes, lift the hips, and push back into downward dog. Now, because we haven't done a whole lot of warm up, you can bend your knees a lot here. Really just pushing those hips up to the sky. Not dumping into your wrists, but using your fingers and the palms of your hands for support. Or if you'd like, you can straighten your legs. Dropping that head, releasing any tension that you may be holding. And then we're going to find our way back into tabletop position. We're going to sit back on our heels like we did before, find our child's pose. Once again, moving back up into tabletop position. We're going to inhale, tuck our toes, push back into downward dog. Bent knees or straight, whatever feels good for you. But exhale when you get there. You can find movement in your down dog. I like to pedal my feet. It gives you a nice deep side stretch. But before we move back into our tabletop, find a moment of stillness in your downward dog. Pushing back into tabletop position, down into our child's pose, resting for a couple breaths here. And once again, inhale, coming to tabletop, tucking the toes, exhaling and pushing back into downward dog. Coming back into your tabletop position, we are going to find our child's pose once again before we move on. So staying in your child's pose, you want your hips to come back down onto your heels as much as you can. If that feels like too much, if it's too much of a stretch, you can put your block, you could put a pillow, you could put a blanket to create some, a little bit of a buffer between your heels and your sits bones. You want your arms to come out straight in front of you, almost reaching. This is more of an active child's pose. And forehead, you want on the floor. Continue to stay in your child's pose. And to find your breath in your child's pose, you really want to feel as if you're breathing into your back body. So imagine as if someone placed their hands between your shoulder blades and try to get your breath to reach into that space. Continue to breathe in your child's pose. Two more breaths. And slowly come out of your child's pose and come to a seated position with your sits bones on the floor and feet or legs and feet out in front of you. Okay, so this posture is called staff pose, Dandasana. And it looks like a very passive pose, but it is active because you are sitting up nice and tall. Your core is activated here, and your feet are flat out in front of you, or straight out in front of you and flexed. So sit here for just a moment and continue to breathe. You can bring the palms of your hands next to you under the shoulders to help you sit up a little taller if you need it, or if that feels good for you. You may feel this in your glutes and legs, and definitely your core. Continue to breathe. And one more breath. And from here, we are going to gather the hands up above us once again. Bring them to our heart space and then reach forward towards our feet. Now we're hinging from the hips here. Now if grabbing the feet is a little too much this morning or whenever you're watching this, because we haven't done a ton of warm-up, you can stay here, you could totally hang out here, or you can be here or here. The point here is to hinge from the hips and not so much round and contract. So sitting up nice and tall, reaching for the feet or the shins or the knees or the thighs, wherever feels good for you. And then just breathing into that space. Allow the head to hang in between the arms. And then slowly come back up into your seated position. We're going to once again sweep our arms up to the sky. Inhale and hinge forward, exhaling into our folds. And remember, you do not want to force your stretch. Stretching and flexibility is not about forcing your body into a shape. It's about allowing your body to get there. So you are creating the space with your inhalation, and then you're moving into that space with your exhalation. And you'll find on your exhalation, you'll be able to move a little further into your posture. and slowly come back out. So from here, we are going to move and place our backs on the floor. You can do that slowly by bending the knees, using your core, and slowly rolling back until your back is completely flat on the floor, on your mat. So keeping your knees bent here, we're going to bring them to our chest and breathe, giving ourselves a hug. And on an inhalation, we're going to wrap a little tighter and bring our heads up to our knees. And then exhaling and releasing our head back to the floor, back to the mat. We're going to inhale once again, giving ourselves a nice big hug around our shins and knees, bringing the head up to the knees. And relaxing once again. Once again, wrapping the arms around the knees. And one more time. You can bring your feet to the floor. Taking a few cleansing breaths here. Knees are still bent. But from here, you're going to bring the soles of your feet together. And still lying back, we're going to find our reclined butterfly pose. I love this pose because it allows gravity to do most of the work. If you have tight hips or stronger hips, this is a good one because you're allowing the body to relax even more, while still actively stretching those hip flexors. So continue to breathe here. Allowing the body to relax into its pose. Slowly bring your knees back together. You can use your hands to help. We're going to move into our final posture, which is Shavasana. So lying flat on your back still, you're going to stretch your legs out in front of you. Find a nice, comfortable rest. Allowing the feet to just hang. Allowing the shoulders to relax. letting go any tension that may be in your jaw. You can open up your mouth to release some of that tension. I know I clench my jaw a lot, so it's helpful. Releasing any tension in your brow, softening your face as much as possible. And allowing the earth to just hold you. Slowly begin to bring movement back to your body by wiggling your fingers and your toes, maybe opening your eyes, still having that soft gaze. When you're ready, you can roll to one side and pause there for a moment. And slowly move back up to seated. Thank you so much for tuning in and creating a home practice for yourself. I know a lot of us are stuck inside and we don't really have a lot of options for where we're going to practice or how we're going to practice, but I'm glad you were able to find time to create this space for yourself. As you continue on with your day, take your deep belly breathing, take your mindful thoughts, take some peace, and take compassion with you. Thank you for tuning into this practice. And to my soul stretch class that I see once a month, I miss you. I'm going to continue missing you, and I'm thinking about you, and I hope all of you are well. And I can't wait until we can get back into the same room together and practice again. Thank you.